This chef was fucking nuts that came up with this. I got so much meringue in my mouth. Today on the Edibles Club, we're gonna make a baked Alaska. This episode is brought to you by Clipper Lighters. Did you know you can refill these? Pretty nifty. So this baked Alaska, it's more like a baked Alaska because we are going to infuse it. And then we are gonna get lit with our Clipper Lighters and flambe the baked Alaska. So I hope you're ready. Let's get cooking. Take a freezer-safe bowl, put a little neutral oil or Pam, and then, you know, we'll save the planet another day. But wrap it with plastic. It's not gonna be perfect. I mean, saran wrap is my worst nightmare. Oh, I hate it. Both ways. The second layer is the harder layer because you already got that first layer and you can't really jiggle things around too much. But just remember, this will all be covered in meringue. I'm doing a Neapolitan baked Alaska. You can use whatever ice cream flavors you want, but try to have some variation in the colors and think about what flavors taste good together. Like maybe not, what would be gross? Like a peanut butter cookie dough with a lime? Maybe not. So I'm doing strawberry, and I let this soften in the fridge so it's more spreadable. All level, because you want nice clean lines. And push it up to the edge and come around and do that. And that'll kind of help flatten the saran wrap out. So just take some butter, grease your cake pan, a little bit of flour, just to make sure that the cake doesn't stick. I am using a box mix, okay? This is like a semi-homemade. Shout out to Sandra Lee. We don't need to be making cake from scratch, ice cream from scratch. We're already doing a lot by assembling this baked Alaska. It is a to-do, okay? And we're gonna set it on fire. Hello. So just buy a cake mix. We're going to infuse some oil. This recipe calls for oil, or this box calls for oil. So I have just some neutral oil here. I'm gonna heat it to 240 because that's what we decarb at. And the higher the temperature, the faster the infusion. And I'm impatient. Obviously, I'm buying box mix. So I don't want it to go slow and low. I want it to go fast. So this is pre-decarbed weed. It's testing. I sent it for lab testing. This is what I'm cooking with for the cookbook. You can get this at Mota in Silver Lake on Sanborn and Sunset for $40 a zip. Okay, so pretty good deal if you want to make your own edibles at home. Just go pick some up from them. It's their trim from their grow. So that's what I'm using. Works great. Been cooking all year with it. Let's see how much it weighs. So a tablespoon is like 2.5 grams. And I'm putting that into half a cup of neutral oil. So once it starts rising, because the temperature will keep going, it hits 240, I'll just turn it off. Follow the instructions, people. 3 eggs. Now, let's put the wheat in. The wheat oil has been infusing for 20 minutes. That's plenty of time at 240 Fahrenheit. And I'm gonna just strain it directly into our cake. Half a cup of, this is very potent actually. Okay, this is gonna fuck us up. We're just gonna get high if you eat this cake.
No.
Start low. Don't gotta mix it very much. Oh my God. How to make a mess with Vanessa. Scrape this down. Just remember, if you lick your spoon at this point, you will get high. Just follow the instructions on the cake box, okay? But look at that cake batter. You wouldn't even know. Who's gonna know? They'll never know. This forms the base of our baked Alaska. So of course it's gotta be baked. Let's pour our batter into the prepared pan. Oven's at 350. Wheat is in. The cake. So usually these boxes are for 2 cakes. Definitely do that. My oven only fits 1 because it's so tiny. So I'm making some exceptions here. I'm going to bake it longer and then I'm going to slice it in half. That's what I'm going to do. Doesn't taste like wheat, tastes like chocolate. Yum. I'm not going to eat all of that. Sometimes I like the batter more than I like the cake. Okay, so bake in the oven however long it says. And let's do everything else. So you really want to make sure your ice cream between the layers, they get hard so you can place your next layer without moving the one below it. Need a little ice cream? You know, vanilla gets a lot of flack. Like, oh, vanilla, so boring. But like a good vanilla is hard to do because it is so boring. And do this the night before. You can even do this a week ahead if you really want to like be nice to your future self. All right, last layer on this baked Alaska is the chocolate, which is my fave. So why is it called a baked Alaska? There's actually some, of course, there's always like, what's the true origin of it? It's from a fancy restaurant in New York. And it's a baked Alaska because it's ice cream in the middle and then you set it on fire. So it's kind of like, it's cold, you know, makes sense, right? The inside is Alaska and then it's baked. You're flambeing it. Or sometimes you bake the meringue rather than flambe, but we want to set something on fire. It's about the spectacle. It's about the performance, the show, the showmanship. Put it back in the freezer. We have our baked cake. It has been cooling. Don't put ice cream on a hot cake, okay? And we're not going to use all of this. It's far too much cake. So I'm going to slice off the top because it's got a little bit of a cat butt. Isn't that funny how that happens? Beautiful. Look at that crumb. Fingers crossed. I made one last night. Okay? And we gotta, you know, sometimes if it's, this is metal, don't do this on a glass bowl, what I'm about to do, okay? I'm just trying to heat up the ice cream a little bit so it'll release from the bottom of the pan. Come on, baby. Hear that? Put it on top of our cake. And like I said, do not worry if it looks a little wrinkly. and ugly, okay? We're covering this with meringue. What's key is that it lines up with the edges of the cake so we can get a nice edge. Back in the freezer. The safe thing to do when you're separating eggs is separate into another bowl. That way you don't ruin all of your nice whites if you break a yolk, okay? It happens. Sometimes you break the yolk. If you get any yolk in your meringue, game over. Does not like fat. I like to get the little umbilical cord off too. Okay, so we have 6 egg whites for this recipe, and this is to cover our baked Alaska. Get off, you bitch. There we go. And I'm gonna save the yolks for pasta. Boop. Last one. Okay. There we go. Oop. All right, 6 egg whites. Let's whisk this up. Because the egg whites are raw, we're not gonna bake this Alaska, we're gonna flambe it. So we have to cook the whites. We need to cook the egg whites so we don't get sick. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, all of it. It's a lot of sugar. And this is 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, just to make it super stiff. And then we have to take it to 170. So this is like the lazy man's version of a baked Alaska, which isn't that lazy at all. It takes a long time. 111, make a wish. There we go, 170, let's go, baby. Pop it on the machine over here. So it's really nice and thick, it looks beautiful, but I can feel the bottom of the bowl. It's still too warm, and we don't want to put that on top of ice cream, so keep going. Smoke break!
A few moments later.
All right, we are there. Ready, people? This is what, oh, that is stiff. That's a stiff peak, okay? Kind of have a game plan here. So I'm gonna start here, leave some in. And you don't wanna like pick it up once it's touched the cake, you know, because it'll pick up the icing and then we'll lose our beautiful whiteness of this meringue. So just kind of spread it around, not pulling it back on itself. See? See? Got that edge right here. I'm just gonna see how we're just hiding? It's all disappearing under the meringue. This is a feat. One last dollop. Okay. It's down here, this base edge, that's the key. We gotta encase the whole thing. This chef was fucking nuts that came up with this. I'm really sick. I got so much meringue in my mouth. Okay, listen, this is looking good. I think that's all the meringue I have, which was a lot. And now we're gonna go through And we are going to put peaks on it with some spoons. You just want lots of these. Like a punk. It's a punk cake. Okay, let it pour out over. Clipper, fingers crossed, baby. Woo! Flambe. Is it on fire? I don't know. Oh my God, it's cooking it! It's lit! Get lit with Clipper. Woo! Is it still on fire? Oh, yuck. That Alaska is baked. Come on, baby. First piece is always the hardest. I mean, not bad. We did it. Thanks, Clipper. All right, only thing left to do is try this baked Alaska. I mean, it's cutting like a gem. It's a big piece. Oh my God. It's so cold. It's like cold and hot at the same time in the weirdest way. That's awesome. Go bake your Alaska and then post it for the Edibles Club. Use a Clipper lighter because that's the only way to get lit.